The most famous project of Hyperstrange Studio is Postal Brain Damaged. The developers were able to transfer the absurd adventure of the famous dude to the plane of retro shooters, where action becomes the key to the success. However, a completely different vector was acquired by Bloodwest, a story about man who is looking for a way to break a curse in an alternative history of the Wild West, where Lovecraftian horrors, thief stealth and system shock immersiveness merged together. The beginning of the walkthrough kids play with a colorful splash screen. The shaman was the only survivor of the entire tribe of Indians, and the local lands were consumed by a curse and eternal night. People were so greedy, lustful and cruel that they began to turn into dysfunction mutant with torn rib cages and swollen limbs. It is up to the protagonist, whom the shaman recorded with the help of special ritual, to correct all this. There is no sense to describe further adventure of our cowboy. The most frequent interculture will be a ritual skull, which will be helped to destroy the found curse's artifact. He will also give hints for searching for new targets, during which you will manage to meet some more or less adventurous people, including a beauty in a mask. The main character, by the way, is voiced by Stephen Russell, whose voice can be heard by Thief, Prey, Fallout 4 and other games. Cowboy will make jokes and the spirit of friendly advice to not give up, and comment on what is happening. In spirit it is similar to Blood, but even more similarity with the shooters of bygone times give the environment with pixel style and small number of polygons. Similar stylization can be seen in the remake of System Shock, so Blood West can be prized for its gorgeous atmosphere. By its structure, the tasks are not spoiled with variety and are divided into 3 chapters. Most of the time player will have to look around evil places, in search of golden artifacts. Each of them has a story behind it. A monk sectarian drank human blood from a majestic goblet, and a skillful dagger was used a ritual suicide after a series of murders. Violence and cannibalism in Blood West is really allowed, and sometimes human remains can be found right in place in the middle of abandoned houses. Plague which feast behind the scenes. Variety is brought in by the selection of location. Each of the 3 maps, which open up gradually through the story, has a few key points and optional world-filling location. It is itself is small and runs from one end to the other in just a few minutes, but at various steps there is some building for interesting place. Players will visit abandoned towns and forts, ruining farms, caves and mines, deceived churches and much more. Each location is colorful with decoration, and sometimes tell its own story. For example, under the farm there is a real torture chamber and a bruised prison, where the murderers torture their victims to their heart's content. Non-linearity is only a few tasks, and most of the time it depends on whatever the player listens to. The vague hints in the talking skull. But you can show your wit in penetration location and in battles. In one and the same place offer lists several ways, the obvious and some secret, which can be found by exploring their surroundings. A thoughtful search of the environment will allow you to collect more useful resources or even avoid clash with enemies. And taking part in them, given the local speciality of death, is not all desirable. On each of the 3 chapters, players will meet some unique enemies, but in general to describe the army of the reanimated dead and mutants can be quite short. There's a bunch of stupid zombies that jump on hero with fist or swing pixel, and smart by local standard shooters, so-called IG flares, or conjure sons with shotguns. The latter have an interesting personality. In addition to their excessive ego, they have a rich mode and start attacking hard if you knock off their mask. Then all their physical ugliness comes out. At the end of each chapter a boss awaits. There is nothing unique about them, but everything is tastefully done. In battles, players won't just shoot the entire lead supply. Somewhere you have to perform a ritual and set fires on fire, and somewhere you have to deal with small minions and shoot at weak points. Battles are not memorable, but they bring variety to the usual shootouts, and the appearance of bosses correspond to the general style of Bloodfest, and bring to mind the work of horror master Howard Lovecraft. At the beginning of the passage you will have to die often. Resources are not lost, but some of the dead enemies come back to life, which is reminiscent of Dark Souls. There is no possibility to save, so the developers have provided interesting punishment for frequent deaths. Every 3 recursion, the main character will receive curses. They come in different forms, but most often they lower the characteristic, such as health and stamina, or reduce the amount of experience gained. Of course, you can remove curse from our familiar skull, but he will not do it just like that and will often to perform a small task. For example, collect resources for a certain enemy or kill a certain number of enemies with headshots. To remove curses, there's also special potions, but first you need to find or buy them. The cowboy is also free to pay the skull with a gold coin. He will reward with some bonus of his choice, which will be valid until the next death. The developers themselves position Bloodfest as a stealth shooter. However, the need for stealth fell away after a few hours, when pockets were full of ammo and there were interesting artifacts in the equipment. Enemies have hearing and vision, and you can distract them by throwing a rock, especially for stealthy passage. In many places there are side tunnels and other loopholes, so sometimes you can go to the enemies in the back and strike a crucial blow. But it's the stealth that turned out to be the most boring part of such interesting and unusual game. Enemies are quite stupid, and waiting for monsters to come to the right place or to run the sound of fallen stone takes too much time. That's why most of the artifacts and skills that will help in stealth are useless. It's much easier to solve everyone in the firefight, or find a long-range rifle and shoot enemy skulls from a safe distance. To become a much more effective fighter, you will have to correct selection of equipment and skills. The latter can be obtained by increasing the level experience is given for skills and passing missions. Skills are not special. You can increase health and stamina, do more damage or shoot more accurately. But together with variety of artifacts and weapons with different abilities, you can collect a unique set of skills for yourself. And in this regard, the developers have done a very good job. Some artifacts can be obtained in additional missions or in the course of the history, while others are hidden in secluded places or waiting in the pockets of the next monster. Some of them simply increase the characteristic, while others can radically change the style of the game and make changes to unusual balance. For example, watch freeze the gameplay while the player is in the inventory, and the heart of the Wendigo slowly heals the hero in exchange for reduced maximum health. This works in condition with weapons as well. My favorite bundle is an artifact in the form of cowboy hat and a special resolver. The former restores health when it hit in the head, while the resolver gives $5 for each such shot. Similarly, you can use an artifact for healing and above with infinity arrows, which take away health points for each shot. And there are a lot of such interesting assemblies, which provides a wide range of tactics and replayability. Thank you for watching. Highly recommend to try.